Yo, here's what we're doing today. We're going to do a 3D menu that has all these camera movements. It's got the soundtrack in the back, it's got the UI design, it's got custom font. It's also gamepad compatible, so we're currently moving the mouse with our gamepad and we're able to do everything with our gamepad as well. Super modular. All these buttons are modular in design, so you can move them and put them wherever you want. Gold YouTube members get the project for free and can access the project files to see how it's all created. So thank you everyone for watching. I hope you have a great weekend. If this is the sort of thing you like, drop a subscription, drop a comment. If you're stuck on anything, join the Discord and ask your questions there. And if you want to see any other tutorials or anything different, then I'm always open to ideas. So appreciate you all and have a lovely weekend. So we are just in 5.7 and all we're going to do is select a blank project to get started. We're going to click blueprint and we're going to call this the main menu. Now you can do this in any of the projects. I'll just do it in this one. And then it will load up. So once it's loaded, you should see something like this. So we're going to save this. And this will be our main menu map. And we'll save it here. And then we're going to create a new folder for our widgets. I'm going to open that up and right click again, user interface, go down to widget blueprint. This will be our WBP main menu. We're going to open that up and make sure that you grab the tab and dock it to the top for ease. And then we're going to get a canvas panel and put that in the middle. And a canvas panel just allows us to put objects wherever we want. So we get text and we can place it over here, and like have them overlapping each other and doing all of that good stuff. But what we want is a vertical box. I'm just going to drag this from top to bottom, leave a little gap at the top. And this is going to hold all of our buttons and all of our information just here. The reason for this is it stacks them nicely and keeps them centered and lined up. This anchor at the top is going to go to the middle. You can use this anchor section here and just put it in the middle as well. This means that whenever we go onto a smaller screen, or the scaling or goes where we want it, and this sort of stays to the center middle where we would want it. Right, so now what you've likely seen, or what you are likely to do, is get a button and place it here, and then get some text and place it on top of it. So now we've got some text and we can come over to the text block and say start. But the problem is that I have to then repeat that for every single button that I want, and then these buttons aren't really reusable. And if I want to change, say, the font at a later date, then I would have to come into the button and change each of the fonts manually, step by step. So we don't really want to do that. We want to have something that we can reuse across projects and in multiple scenarios. So we're going to right click and create a new folder. This will be called master widgets. And we're going to open that up and we're going to place a user interface widget blueprint, user widget. This will be WBP master button. And I'm just going to duplicate that, and this will be WBP master text. So all you need to do to duplicate is press Control D or right click, duplicate. So master button first, we're going to add a button, and then we're going to add the master text to the button. Okay, we're going to get rid of its padding, and we are going to make sure that we've got select on the button, and we're going to call this master button at the top and make it as a variable, and master text, we're also going to make this a variable too, so that we can change things around in master button. So select master button, go to style, I'm going to go to the normal, and we want the tint to be 0, so it gets rid of the background. And then we're going to copy this and put it on hovered and also on pressed. We're going to get rid of the padding on both of these, and then we're going to compile and save. Open up your master text now, and we are just going to put a text block in the middle and change the fill screen to desired on screen, like so. So now back in master button, you'll see that this is now a text block, which is what we want. At the top, instead of fill screen, it's going to be custom on screen. We'll have this text block in here. And then back in main menu, we should be able to add our master button to our main menu, like so. And we can duplicate that now. And this will be retain all the same information. So whenever we change anything in master button, it will affect all the buttons that we have down here. But you'll notice that this says text block. It doesn't say like start or anything like that. So we need a way of changing this text on the fly. So we're going to come into master text. We're going to go to the graph on the top right corner. We're going to delete the construct in the event tick, and then in designer, we're just going to make this text block a variable. This will be our master text block. Come back to the graph. We're going to grab master text block, and we're going to do set text. This in text here, we're just going to promote this to a variable. This will be our display text, and we can do instance editor and expose on spawn on that. So now back in our master button, we'll see display text, and we can type in start. And now every single one of our buttons will say start, which is not really what we want. Okay, so we're going to go back to master text, and we're going to create a custom event. Add custom event, and this will be set custom text. And all we're going to do is get this set text and this master text block and press Ctrl D. And we're just going to feed in text into set custom text. And this will be custom text to display. Compile and save that. Go back to our master button. Go to the graph. And what we'll see is in master text. So again, we don't need constructs. We don't need event tick. We're going to keep this pre-construct. And this pre-construct is just for like widget designers, as it says here. Just gives you a better preview on your widget designer. You can't use anything dynamic in it. So if you were trying to use an inventory or a quest system, it wouldn't work. It's only static information that doesn't change at runtime. So we've got master text here. We're going to do set text again, set custom text. And then this custom text to display, we're going to promote to a variable. Instance editor expose on spawn, and compile that. So now we've got display text, but again, this is in master button, so it affects everything. But in main menu, when we come down to our master button, we can then type in custom text to display, and we've got start. And here we can have quit. So we've got our first 2 bits of information just there. Back in our master button, we're going to select master text, and we're going to align this left. And this is what I mean about only having to do things once. So now main menu, it aligns it, all of them, to the left. Padding on this, we're just going to have left, and we're going to have about 15. And then it's just off the edge, which is what we want. Okay, back in our master button, we can scroll down, select the master button on the left, scroll down, and we'll see press sound, click sound, and hovered sound. So we need some sound effects. We can get them from Kenny for free. Interface sounds, download it, unzip the file, and we can then move the ones that we want. So mouse click, I like roll over 6, and that's about it really. So we can grab these and drag them into our content browser, or we can use the import function, whichever is your personal preference. And these will go in here. So if we right click and go down to create sound cue, which is move from other versions. In other versions, it's at the top. And create sound cue. And then back in master button, we can have our click sound. If we go into content draw, we can say mouse click, select it, go to click sound and press this little arrow. And then content draw, roll over 6Q will be our hovered sound. Compile and save. Back in our main map menu, we want to display this widget. So we're going to go to open level blueprint. On begin play, we're going to create widget. This will be our main menu. Add to the viewport so we can see it. And then we want to get controller and show mouse cursor. Tick that so that we can see our mouse cursor, so we can actually like display stuff. And then set input mode UI only, and pass in this widget to focus to this widget to focus. Compile and save, and then we can play. As you can see, we've got sounds and we've got clicks. Okay, it's not really doing anything. It's a little bit boring, a little bit naff. So we're going to want an image here. So first things to do, we're going to select our master widget, right click it, and we're going to wrap with a overlay. Then we're going to get border and put that inside the overlay. And then we're going to get an image and put that inside the border. If we select the border, we can come down to padding and change that to be 0. And then change the tint. So come down to appearance, brush, tint, and change it to be 0 on the alpha. And then come up to the top, and where we've got these horizontal and vertical alignment, we can set both of those to be true. And then this image, we're going to want a image for this. So we can, again, come to the links that I've sent you, and we can grab this best brushstroke image, content draw, we can import this one, downloads, brushstroke image. And then if we right click it, we can do sprite actions, apply paper 2D texture settings. And we can set the image by just dragging this over here and setting the image like so. So if we play this, you'll see that this looks like trash. So we need to fix this. And first off, the image size should be 32 by 32. So again, we can check the main menu and see that that's a lot better. We can check this, and that's already pretty good. But also, we don't want that to be displayed. So we need to come over to animations and make sure that we are unselecting that animation to get rid of this blue text, and come to image and set the render opacity on the image to be 0. And then what should happen is these will be 0, it will display and appear like so. Is what we want. Now, what we want to also happen is it be pretty obvious that we've selected the menu by doing the text. So we can add the master text here. And go to animations and select add, make it WPP master text. I'm going to add to the transform. So we want the translation. And if we add a keyframe here and then move it across again, just ever so slightly, move it to about like 10. So it moves to the right as we go. We can compile and save that. Make sure that when you're doing this, you unselect the hover animation so this blue text disappears. And then when we play, you see that text ever so slightly, very subtle, moves. Now this is a massive black mark. So if we go to the main menu, select our vertical box, make this smaller, play again. Just like that, it moves down. Okay, now we're in WPP main menu. So we can add in as many of these as we want. So this one can be an options menu. Then we've got the quit. And if we wanted to, we could just move these sort of down. So we've got a menu just like that. What we want back in main menu is this start would be new game, make it all capitals, new game, and then we'll have load game, and then we've got options, add a new master button, and we'll have play credits, and one final one for quit game. And if we select all of these, then I can add some padding between them. So we can add some padding on the bottom, say 25, and it splits them out a little bit more. Let's make it 30, like that. Now we have our menu. It's looking quite good. But what if actually I want this text to be bigger? So if I come to master text, go to designer, now I want the font to be, let's say like 48. That's looking even better. Back to our main menu. Let's get this vertical box, extend it up a little. Sort of have a play around with where you might want that to be and start. Like maybe we want more space in between each of these. So we select them all, add 50 between each of them. And then in our master text, in our master button, in this image, we can make this image bigger as well. Now I've got more of a menu type vibe. WBP main menu, what we can do is on event construct, we can do play sound 2D. And we can get a looping sound. So again, we'll go to our website so that we've got, and I'm going to get this dark sound and click download, and then I'm going to come to my content drawer and import that sound, and then we're going to create a sound cue again. This time I need to open up the sound cue, so I need to click the loop, make it looping like so, and then in main menu I can have that be the asset. So we've got sound going, and we've got our menu UI sounds doing our clicks as well. So that's looking pretty and sounding pretty solid. The one thing that we don't have is actual functionality. So if we come back to a WPP master button, we need to go back to the graph and select our master button here, and then we've got on clicked. So we're going to press that to create this on clicked event. And then in dispatches, we're going to do on master button clicked, and you should definitely do it in lowercase, on master button clicked. I'm going to call that dispatcher. Back in main menu, on designer, I've got it on the pre-construct, and that's why it's playing. So actually this needs to be on the construct. We'll compile that. And that will stop that. So when this is constructed, it starts playing the sound. And that's what we want. Now, what we want to do is in designer, on these master buttons, we need to make them variables. So this will be our start button, make it a variable. And then here we've got on master button clicked. And so you can then assign it to do open level by object reference. And we'll just make this one any level that you've got. So now when I play, it loads me into the level. Okay, but it doesn't give me control back on my player. So what we want to do is also get player controller, set input mode gaming UI. And then we can try that again. And now I've got control, but I can still see my mouse. So we just need to remove the mouse as well. So set show mouse cursor. And we disable that too. This is actually set input mode game only. There we go. And that fixes us straight away. Right, back to our actual like level design type stuff, our main menu that we're trying to do. We've got our main menu here. We've got the text, but the text looks really boring and horrible. So we're going to come to Google Fonts. We'll browse Google Fonts. And we're going to click download all free. Open that up. Right click to extract all of them. And I want this story script regular. So I'm going to come to our tutorial and then we're going to import it. And we want to create a new font asset and apply it to all. And then back inside our master text, instead of Roboto, I can use this story script regular. Click apply, and here we are with our new text. That looks a hell of a lot better. Right, let's make this a bit more cinematic and a bit more fun. So we'll go to Fab, and we'll type in grass. And all these Quixel assets used to be free, and some are still free, but this one is fine. What's the difference between these two? And we're just going to add that to our project. So wild grass, we're going to add it to our project. It's going to import it here, and then back on Fab, we're going to look for a katana. And I want this katana just here. Make sure it's a compatible format. And then we're going to add that to our project. Cool. Right, back in our main menu map, we can go to Fab and we can go to our katana. And we can like drag that out. And I just want it split around a little bit. So we can rotate it. And then I can lift it up a little bit as well. Just so it's like stuck in the ground. So when we look at it, it looks cool. That'll do. Right, let's go to our foliage mode. So at the top. So come to the top and select foliage. And then in the content browser, we need to go to Fab. And we find Megascans, plants, and your wild grass medium. and foliage types. Foliage types, not static mesh. That's the important bit here. And then you can select all of them, drag them into the foliage type. Press shift and your mouse from the top to the bottom, and that selects all of them. And you want your brush size to be about 100, and just hold your mouse button and start painting just around. Don't go too crazy because we're only really covering where the sword is. And then once you've got a little bit down, drop your brush down to like 10 and just start going a little bit more detail to cover up some of this grass here. If you go wrong, you can press shift and that will delete it as well. So we're just going to cover up some of this here. So what's going to happen is we're going to put a camera inside the grass looking up at the sword. So we just want it a little bit less patchy around here, and especially around the sword itself. Okay, right, go back to the selection mode. Click on the box with the plus, go to cinematics and go to Cine Camera Actor. And we're just going to put it on this side. And then we're going to turn it around and tilt it just slightly up. There's our sword that we can see. We're just going to put it a little bit in the ground and play with it a bit. And we just maybe want to change the focus length on this. So current focal length is 35. I'm going to put it at about 15. So you can see the changes there. This is pretty good, but I'm going to see if I can bring it forward a little bit more and sort of lift it up. Once I'm happy with it, I'm going to leave it where it is. And I'm going to come to the level blueprint. So we're going to open level blueprint, right click, and we should have a create a reference to Cine Camera Actor. If you don't see that, make sure that this camera is selected. And then right click, get player controller, and set view target with blend. I'm just going to put the Cine Camera Actor into the new view target and connect it up like that. So now when we press play, we get this, which is really nice with our little backdrop here, and our menu works, but we do get these horrible lines on the side. So to fix that, we select our camera, and this constrains aspect ratio. Let's untick that. And now we've got a full screen menu like so, which looks really good. Right, so now we've got a full screen menu and it does all of these things. The only one that we actually have working though is our new game. So let's quickly put some functionality in our quick game, then we're going to make some play credits, and then we're going to set up controller support as well. So we'll go to our widgets, we'll go to our main menu, we'll find our quick button, our quick game button. Let's make sure we name it properly. So quick game button, make it a variable, and then at the bottom we should have our master button clicked. We can just drag off there and say quick game. And that one's easy enough for that. And then what you might want to do is, let's find this load game menu, and we'll do load game button, because what if there's not actually a save file for load game? So on event construct, we can do does save game exist? And if save game does exist, so just say in slot 1, this will obviously be different if you have multiple slots. We'll do a branch here, but no, we won't. We'll get this load game and we'll do set visibility, and then from this invisibility we'll do a select, and the return value goes into there, and that goes into set visibility. So if a save game does exist, then it's true, and if it doesn't, then it is hidden. So now we don't have a menu, but actually this looks horrible because it's left a gap here. So what we want to do is collapse instead. There we go. Now we've got a smaller save menu, a smaller actual menu. Right. Let's do credits and options. So we're going to go and make a new widget, user widget, widget blueprint, WBP, credits, because you can like reuse the credits menu across different actors like pause menus and stuff. And add a canvas panel in here, and then we're going to add in our master text here. And we can just put in our credits. So it would be I've got a mind blank. Created by, and then I can have this set out how I sort of want it inside here. So created by 0 to game dev. It'd be like, thanks for watching. Please subscribe. Something like that. That'll do. And then when we come back to our main menu, what we want to do is this vertical box, we're going to wrap this with a widget switcher. And we're going to put our credits menu inside the widget switcher. So grab that, put it inside there. And now you can see if we click on credits menu or a widget switcher, we have this set up here where we can swap between what we're looking at, which is good. That's what we want. But I do want another button inside here, so another master button. I don't want it inside the widget switcher. I want it just along the side here. And this will be the back button. Sorry. Return to menu is what it's going to say. We'll just have this be the return button. And we'll tick to make sure that's a variable. And what we want to do is when we are doing a widget switcher, if it's displaying this vertical box, we want this to be hidden. So we're going to get the return, and we're just going to say visibility default is collapsed. And then when we change this WBP to BP credits, we'll make sure this return is visible. So let's go to graph, and we'll make our widget switcher a variable. So we'll come up to the top, widget switcher, make sure it's a variable, tick it, and we'll click on the graph. And then when someone selects the credits button, so on master button, credits, what we're going to do is get our widget switcher, and we're going to set active widget index, and this will be 1 because this one here is 0 and this one here is 1. And then we're going to get our return button, and then we can set the visibility of that button, so visible. And then on the return button, whenever that's clicked, we're going to do the same here. I'm going to set the index to 0 because that's back to our main menu, and then we're going to set it back to collapsed. We can give that a try. There's our credits. There's our return to main menu. Disappears and comes back. So that's looking pretty solid, pretty good, but it's not very fun. It's not very interesting. So what we can do is we are going to create an event dispatcher here that says on credits clicked, and we're going to call it here. And then back in our main menu map, we can get our level blueprint. And we're going to do a bind here. So this will be on credits, call on credits clicked. No, not call. Bind to on credits clicked. Bind to on credits clicked. We'll do a custom event and credits camera. And all we need to do is get another set view target with blend so we can duplicate the one we've already got. Get our player controller. So again, we can just duplicate that one. Now we need a new camera. So I'm just going to come back to my main menu and duplicate this camera. Just for the time being, I'm just going to have it over here looking at this, and then we'll set up something a bit more fancy in a minute. So make sure, because this is Cine Camera Actor 2, and we actually want our things to be better named. So go to Outlier, and we can call this Credits Camera Actor. And then back in our main menu map, we can right click, get Credits Camera Actor, and we can do a blend time of like 1 second. So what will happen now is when we click play credits, jump over here. Okay, but return to menu doesn't actually do anything, so we just need to go back. So we need to bind to return to menu again, but we are going to come back to our main menu map here. We're going to create a custom event, and we're going to do main menu screen, and then on event begin play, we're just going to call main menu screen and bypass this set view target here, because I'm going to be calling this again from somewhere else. So back in our WBP main menu, we're going to do on return to menu called, and then when we are on our return to menu here, we're just going to call this, compile and save it, go back to main menu map, and then we're going to do another bind to on return to menu called, do another custom event. In fact, we can do create event. We can just do the main menu screen. That is going to call this event just here. We'll show you that. Play credits, come over here, return to menu, back over here. So the other thing is that actually this is already loaded by the time we get over here. So what we can do is we need to know how long it takes for our blend time, which is 1 second. And then we can put a delay on the on button clicked credits button. So we'll put a delay here of 1 second. And then we can press play credits. And you can see this appears just as we move over. But the problem is that we don't actually get rid of this screen. So we're going to do that as well. And to do that, we're going to go to the designer, and this vertical box is going to be our main menu. And we're going to create this as a variable. And then we're just going to get main menu and set the visibility of that to be hidden. We'll do that straight away before the delay. And then we need to duplicate that, because on the way back, we're going to want to set it to be visible again. Play credits, disappears menu, creates this credit menu, return to menu, all of these come back. Just like that. Easy peasy. So now we can put a like an object here and display our credits on something a bit more fun. So we could go to Fab, and like we could get a map Can't think of something that's cool to display credits on. Yeah, this will do. Vintage map parchment. And then we can just put this out in the world. We can rotate it a little. Now, obviously, you'd spend more than the 5 seconds I'm going to be doing this on. I nearly had the world upside down. So now, when we play credits, we've got this map. We just need to keep adjusting it so that it's as you want it. And then we return to menu. We've got our quick game that stops the game, and we've got our new game that loads into a menu. And we just do the same thing with our option screen. So we're going to create a very basic option screen that's not actually going to have any options in it. So widget blueprint, WBP, options, open that up. Canvas panel in there. And all I'm going to do in this one is just going to write in held for options screen. We'll compile and save that. And you'll notice that I'm using the master text again, so that all of my text is the same and I can change it on like a whim. Go back to our main menu, go to the designer, and we're going to add in our WBP options screen to our widget switcher. Like so. And then all we want to do is when our main menu is pressed, when someone presses options, so we need to make this a variable again, go to options button, come back to our graph, options button, on master button clicked. We're going to set the active widget to be 2, because that's our button there. And we can set the return visibility to be visible. And then we test it. So right now it will do options, held for option screen, return to menu, just like so. And you can do the same thing with the camera where it moves around and such as well. But let's add in controller support. Right, to set up our controller for our gamepad, I'm going to use a PS5 controller, and I'm using the DS4 Windows plugin, but it all works. So we're going to need a new folder for inputs, and in this folder I need a input. So right click, go to input actions. This will be IA move cursor, and we're going to open that up, and this needs to be a axis 2D vector and trigger when paused, just in case you pause the game when you open your menu. And then we need again input mapping context, IMC menu controls. So we're going to open that up and add in our mappings. When you're adding your mappings, make sure you're adding them to the default key mappings and not to mapping profile overrides. So default key mappings is the top one, mapping profile overrides is the bottom one. So yeah, just make sure that you're adding them to the right place. So our first one will be IA move cursor, and on this little icon here, we want gamepad, and I want the left thumbstick 2D access. So, and then we want a modifier. We just want the dead zone modifier. So that's just how far your stick can go before it stops. And we're just going to dock this up here, which might come back to it in a sec. And then we're going to open up our widgets folder again. And we're going to create a new master widget. Right click, user interface, widget blueprints. This will be WBP base menus or base menu, and then we're going to open that up. And we're going to leave this completely blank and go to the graph. Okay, once we are in the graph, then we're going to go to event construct. We're going to delete the pre-construct and event tick, event construct, and we are going to do set input mode game and UI only. We're going to get our player controller. Widget's focus is going to be a reference to self, and then we're going to set focusable. Set is focusable to true. Next, we're going to do get player controller again, and we're going to do enhanced local input subplayer subsystem. We're just going to make sure that that is valid so that we do have a subsystem valid. And then if that's valid, we're going to do add mapping context. And the mapping context we want is our menu controls. I'm going to compile that. Right click, get IA move cursor. I want this top one. Then we're going to right click this action input. We're going to right click action value and get the X and the Y. From the X, we're going to multiply. And then we're going to add. And then we're going to get player controller again and do set mouse position. And the add is going to go into the X after we round it. So we're going to round it to the closest value and then put it into the X. And that will be on triggered. Okay. This X is going to be your speed, like your mouse movement speed. This will be your mouse speed, but only when you're using a controller. And then we also need to get player controller. Need to get the mouse position and the location X we need to add here. What we're going to do then is we're going to copy all of those nodes that we just made and duplicate them. And we're going to put the Y into the multiply, and instead of this get position being X, we're going to move this to the Y just by pressing Control and dragging it. Round is then going to go into the Y, and we're going to compile that just there. And then one thing we forgot at the top is we also need to show the mouse cursor. So show mouse cursor. So drag off from get player controller and show mouse cursor. Back in our main menu, on our main menu map, you can see that we're already doing some of this here. So actually we can delete those 3 nodes here and connect add viewport to the bind, like so. And then our main menu here, we're going to open it up and go to class settings. And then its parent class, we're going to then change to the base menu. I'm going to compile and save that. And then in WBP main menu on begin play or event construct, I'm going to right click and get this add call to parent so that that runs all the parent code before it runs any of this. And now if I use my controller, so currently it's not working, and the reason for that is it's trying to read this move cursor. So what we need to do is we need to make a custom event. This will be our move cursor event, and we need to do this inside the base menu. And we're going to plug in the A and the A2 here and plug that into set mouse position. And then this IA move cursor, we're just going to grab it, put it in our main menu, and we're going to then call set the move cursor event. Move cursor event. I'm going to plug X into A and Y into A too. And that way, because we've got it in here, when we go to make a pause menu, we can reuse it. And now, here we go. Our mouse is moving with our gamepad, but what you'll notice is that, well, you probably won't, but I'm pushing down and it's going up, and I'm pushing up and it's going down. So we're going to negate the Y axis, which is why I've left this menu control open. So I'm going to add a new modifier here and make this negate, and this will be the Y here. So now when I play again, down is down, up is up. You can see the hover events work as intended, but I can't actually click on anything. So if I go to press play credits and press X, I can't actually press X. So we're going to fix that as well. To do that, we're going to need to open up our master button. I'm going to edit the widget blueprint, go to our master button, and then on hovered, we're going to set user focus. We want the formula. So set focus, set user focus, this one. And the target is going to be the master button. And the player controller will be get player controller. I'm going to compile and save that, test it. So when we press play and we come over here and we control it with our gamepad, then we get our new game and we can go into our new game perfectly fine. But what you'll notice if you've got keen eyes is that it sort of creates this blue box around it. And if I press the what are they called, the directional buttons up and down, it is this blue box, but it doesn't trigger our hover animations, which isn't really what I want. And if we do play credits, then it works as intended. So we're going to add some fixings to this so that we can navigate it properly. And the first one is in master button. I'm going to go to designer, select our master button, and then down here on our navigation, we're just going to change all of these to stop. And then in main menu, on this main menu section, again, I'm going to change all of these to stop. That should stop us. It stops some of it. And then the same again on these buttons. We're going to change them all to stop. Easy way of doing this is just to select all of them. In fact, we can just select everything and change it all to stop. And now it used to trigger on tab as well on the keyboard and on your directional buttons up and down on your keyboard. But now when I press these buttons, it doesn't appear or trigger. So we can move around our screen with our mouse, play our game, and it all works perfectly fine. The only thing is, if I've hovered on credits, come off and press X, I go back to credits. So we need to revert the focus of our menu back to our, so we set our focus here and then it keeps the focus. So we need to unset the focus. And the only way of doing that is to create a new dispatcher. So on unset focus, and then we're going to call that just here. And then back in main menu, on start, we can call unset focus. On return, we can call unset focus. On quick game, unset focus. Options button, unset focus. Load game button, unset focus, and credits button, unset focus. So all our buttons, once we've unhovered from them, we will then need to call set focus, set user focus. Player controller is the player controller, as it always has been. And then we connect all of these up just here. We don't want it remembering the last thing that we were selected. So we select this, come back over here, and now I'll select play credits, come off it, click X, it doesn't go anywhere. Same for start, doesn't go anywhere. Now if I click play credits, it's all fine. And that is our main menu with gamepad compatibility and a modular setup on buttons. So if you like this, then please drop a subscription, drop a follow, ask any questions below, and yeah, let me know.